All right, as I said before, we put pause to that first video. Come back, we're going to add in another video, very important message, kind of going over the practice plans of the day and how things are going to look. So I won't go into as great of detail for the 102 and 103 camps because those are going to be managed by the assistant coaches that are running those, which is pretty much most of our coaching staff. And then I'll spend a little bit more time hitting on the things that are very important at the end to the one-on-one camp. And so those counselors and coaches that are working with me one-on-one camp, we want to make sure we dive into that. So without any further ado, let's go over the camp introduction for today. So real quick, let me slide myself over here. All right, here we go. This is the actual layout of who we have today. Right now we're looking at 16 campers for the 101 camp. And then these are the counselors that we have, all right? And again, strategically, we expect you guys to really shine today and do a great job for us. And so you can kind of see, take a screenshot. You guys will be the ones helping us out with the youth. Coach Valentin and I will be there as well. And so these are the one-on-one counselors, all right? Screenshot that. Here is the 102 counselors. So this is the group that will be handling the 102 roster, meaning that when the 102 kids start coming in today, they will come to you all because the offensive group coaches and counselors will be coaching the 102 kids first. All right, so that's the way it looks. So you guys will be bringing those guys in, stationing on the field, working with them, hanging out with them. You all will be setting up the offensive drills for the day. And so you'll make sure you figure out how the field's going to be set up. I don't know how the coaches have worked this in the past. In all likelihood, you won't be changing the field. You will just be switching the 102 and 103 campers at the middle of the practice when we go ahead and allow the 102 guys to go to defense and the 103 guys to go to offense. So the 102 guys will start on offense. These are your counselors and coaches for the offensive side of the ball. Take a screenshot of that. Here is the camp roster for the 103 right now. It's going to grow. I've got some guys I need to add to this already from the Cavalier or ninth grade group. Again, they're going to start on defense. You'll be in a designated area defensively to do those things. The defensive counselors of the day are here listed at the top, and defensive coaches there are listed at the bottom. So that's what that looks like. Camp check-in. Each day you'll come check in. This has not been updated for last year, but you will have a camp check-in for you guys to come in and get your shirts when we have them. But your job is to come in and ultimately, let us know that you've arrived so we know when you're there and we know that we have everything covered. 4 downs to score. That's just a silly game rules that I came up because at the end of each practice prior to conditioning, we will do some type of 7v7 competition amongst each groups. And again, the 102 and 103 have come up with ways to do that. We, on the 101 side, will take the kids out of the shoulder pads and helmets and let the kids play. And again, I love when our football players, our Cavaliers, jump in and find a way to interact and play with the kids or encourage them to go. But just because you may not be in the game or doing those things at that time doesn't mean that you don't engage and continue to encourage those kids. That's not a slack off time for us when the kids are playing in those type of games. We're going to skip the 101 camp day 2. We're going to do that at the end. But here is 101 or 102 day 1. And so this is the group that will be working with the middle school kids and the Cavaliers. Okay, so this is the offensive side, defensive side. It's pretty self-explanatory. It's not much different than what you guys are used to seeing. And we have Power and Counter Waggle going in, we hope. Rip and Liz, maybe Roger and Louie. Again, I leave that to the discretion of the offensive coaches. The defensive coaches will let you guys know what they're doing defensively to go in. It's the coach's job to make sure that you guys know what you should be doing as far as for that day. However, you can see that we do have warm-ups for positions groups, which could be individual, team install, some individual work. All these things are set up much like what you guys used to seeing when we play ball ourselves, right? And then defensively, the same kind of deal. That schedule could adapt, but it is a 55-minute period once we stretched, because we will be stretching as an entire program, which starts right at 6 o'clock, goes for 10 minutes. And so those groups will be stretching, doing dynamic stretch. My hope is that we all kind of do it the same way. We could all do it at the same time. I can manage it, doesn't matter, but we're going to make sure that we dial them in and get a good dynamic stretch as we typically do before we do anything else. You guys are going to make sure you're helping those kids understand what the good stretch looks like. We got to start the day on point, set the tone. The best way to do that is to be engaged, standing side by side those kids, modeling the stretches and stretching with them, not on the sidelines. A bad tone setter if you guys aren't engaged during the stretch period. All right, we'll flip the guys in the middle. And then once we flip the guys, you're just covering pretty much the same thing. Only difference is that the 102 guys will be in equipment. The 103 guys will not be in equipment. All right, and then we'll go and play 4 downs and score, 77. However you guys chop it up, however you decide to do it, doesn't bother me any at all. And we'll handle that. If you have any ideas about how to do that when it comes to that, let your coaches know in that area. Then we have the camp-wide conditioning. The important thing about the camp-wide conditioning is to have things set up prior to the conditioning starts. And so I would allocate guys, if you aren't supporting or helping during the 4 downs and score, you should be staging the gear appropriate for conditioning on the outskirts. So that way, when we break out of that and the coaches get a team break with those kids, within 3 minutes, we should be able to slide everything in place and have conditioning ready to roll. That's on you guys as counselors to get that done. And of course, once it's all done, we'll clean up the field and rock and roll. Going back to the one-on-one group, all right, I did this separately because we're going to go a little bit more deep in detail about what that looks like. So the one-on-one group, each day, I'm going to make sure I send out information about the one-on-one group and how it looks and what we're trying to cover. All right. With me and Coach Valentin doing this based upon the type of kids we have, we may end up setting up 2 separate stations. So Coach Valentin would be talking through O-line, I'd be talking through quarterback play, and then Coach Valentin might be doing running backs, I might be doing wide receivers. And what we'll do is we'll kind of set up and talk about what we're going to be doing in those drills. And then you guys will execute and take them through those drills. And we will be managing and helping you guys out. So for example, O-line fundamentals. As we do that, the kids could be doing the O-line fundamentals from the Wolverines, and coach is going to talk about what the stances are supposed to look like and how we step on the first punch and how we put our hands on the shields. And then what happens is he'll put them in a drill. You guys will be handling the hand shields, and it's your job then to encourage those guys as they drive, fit, punch on the bags. We will break these things down methodically and concentrate on the finer points of the details. Not so much we slow it down, but what I mean by that is we won't be talking a whole lot. We will be moving and building the drills up a whole lot. So what does that mean? That means when we talk about taking the steps, we will literally take a step, let them get set. Take another step, let them get set. And then we'll talk about taking a step and chopping those feet. Then we'll put them on an agility bag, have that as a board, if you will, put them on the bag. We're not just going to say, okay, ready, set, go, and let them hit the bag. No. Now you put them on the board, you put their helmet on the bag, just like we do for you, and we work on the punch, work on the punch, work on the punch, and then drive. And you put it all together. You can see how this is staged and set up methodically. It's not just let them go out there and hit. We want to make sure instruction is set. And then so for the quarterback fundamental drills, we'll throw from knee, standing. These things will be demonstrated by Coach Valentin and myself, and then you guys will go out and help us execute those things with those kids. Wide receiver drills will be stance and start. We'll do a mirror drill, stalk drill, catching fundamentals. The running back will be a stance and start, running ball, handling it. We'll be running through the agility bags, carrying the ball without dropping it, and making sure we do things that way as well. Then we go D-line. It's going to be kind of the same thing. Linebacker, stance and starts, and then defensive backs. We may put all the kids together and go through each one of these stations together and yet just separate them side by side. That might be the best way to do it. And so we will make sure that the Wolverines are here and Tigers are here. And Coach Valentin and I are working these 2 groups, but we're both doing offensive line simultaneously. Same thing, the quarterback drill. So we will need enough pads and cones and bags to make sure that we can facilitate 2 groups for each thing. So what you guys will do as counselors when you come in is look through the plan of the day. What do I have to have for us to be able to operate and run? take those things down to our field and make sure no counselor or coaches from the 102 or 103 camp grab them. All right. And then, of course, then we'll go down here and we'll do 4 downs to score. And then we'll go ahead and do the camp-wide conditioning as everybody else will. Camp-wide conditioning, what does that look like? Well, let's go ahead and pull that up. All right. So, go ahead and go to full screen so you guys can see it. All right, we're good. So this is what it's going to look like for us, okay? So this is the tree line, and then down here is the bleachers. Again, you want to screenshot this as well. But we're going to have 2 separate fields in which we're going to run this conditioning. This is the lay of the field. So over here is the shed. This is the 102 and 103 camp field, and then this is the 101 camp fields. So you can see what's going to happen here is we have the 2 hoops for each field. We want groups to get the hoops set up. That should probably be like, I don't know, the D-line up here or offensive line since they're starting on 102 and then D-line down here with the 103. So then here, this is the 102 side again. So this is where, the guys who are doing that offensive stuff sets it up. You're going to set some bags up for step overs, okay? What this looks like is we'll do the cat and mouse thing where we're chasing each other, and then they come out and they run, and they're going to face the tree line. They're going to both feet every hole, all right? Back pedal, both feet every hole, facing the tree line, turn, flip, and then sprint all the way down here. And then when we hit this cone, they're going to long jump. From here all the way over. That stuff is covered by the 102 guys. Same thing down here. From this standing long jump cone all the way over is handled by the 103 guys. Over here, we're going to have the alpine agility. The one cut, alpine agility. We're going to set up cone, and then sprint and finish. One of those big pop-up dummies. This is all done and set up by the 101 coach, our counselors. So we'll end up blowing the whistle, having all the kids come down here. I'll separate the kids into groups, and then they'll all run through these. When a kid gets done tackling that dummy, running through and tackling that dummy, we move them to the inside, and they run back. These guys will move to the outside, I'd rather these guys run to the inside as well and come back and get in line. And we'll do this continuously until time runs out. So that's what the conditioning drill looks like. We want to make sure that we're ramped up. We want to make sure we start practice right, where we're engaged, help the kids stretch, setting the tone, and we want to finish with a great tone setter. And this is the big time tone setter that we like to end with, because this allows us all to show a lot of energy, give the juice, finish strong. It's not a time for us to slack off. It's not a time, of course, to be on our phones because we don't have our phones out. It's not a time for us to socialize. We need to be in certain spots on the field. Make sure the coaches, they're going to tell you where you need to be, and you need to go out there and make sure that those guys are getting through these drills the right way, coach them up, and bring a lot of energy and juice. So that's kind of it for the camp instruction for the day and for the remaining part of the week. I'll start adding on to this. Each morning you'll get an update from me, highlighting the pluses and giving you guys the instructions of the day that might be important for us to make sure we're mindful of. With all that, you know how much I love you. I'm proud to be a Cavalier. And today, we get to show everybody why we're the best. So I look forward to seeing you soon. Make sure you hydrate. Make sure you eat. Make sure you take care of yourself. Come looking fresh, ready to roll in your Calvert blue. I love you. I'm out. Boom.